There are many benefits that live plants may provide in your tank, like for example oxygenating and cleaning your water, providing much healthier ecosystem in your aquarium, and also providing cover for fish. Hornwort is without any doubt one of the easiest plants to keep in the aquarium hobby, and although many aquarists consider hornwort as pest plant, there are definitely several advantages you can gain by keeping this plant. I keep this plant in majority of my aquariums for several reasons. First of all, I'm breeding live-bearing fish that usually hunt down their babies, and plants like hornwort provide perfect cover for them. It's also helping to remove ammonia from my water that's toxic for fish and provide much healthier ecosystem in the aquarium. Last but not least, hornwort is super easy to keep plant, and you literally have to make an effort to kill it. If you're a beginner in the aquarium hobby, definitely consider trying this plant in your aquariums. As far as water parameters go, it can literally accept any type of water temperature and parameters, and as I mentioned earlier, it's definitely one of the hardiest plants in a hobby. That's also one of the reasons why from North America it's spread to all continents in the wild except Antarctica. Another great benefit is that it can grow both planted into the substrate and floating. I usually leave it floating as my top water plant and use other mosses or stem plants at the bottom. Whether you'll plant it into any kind of substrate or just leave it floating, it will do just fine. As far as light requirements go, it can literally accept any kind of lighting you have in your aquarium. However, with high amount of light, it tends to grow a lot of algae. From my experiences, it's especially hair algae. And here we move to some disadvantages of this plant. First is definitely an algae issue that appears a lot on this plant, however it's super easy to remove. Simply cut off any part of the plant that's covered by algae and remove it from the aquarium. Its fast growth will secure that the plant will soon recover, and with proper cycle tank and appropriate lighting, over time you'll get rid of this issue. Another issue is that it tends to hold a lot of dirt. Now if you're having a pond, it may actually be great benefit as it will help you clean your water, and some people even use hornwort for filtration of their water and large filters, letting the water flow through this plant as it literally works like filtration media. Disadvantage may be if you're trying to have a lovely looking tank and it simply is not very visually pleasing. Once again, depending what you're aiming for, this may be both advantage and disadvantage for you. Propagation of this plant is absolutely simple. All you need to do is take small trimmings of the mother plant and either plant them directly into the new aquarium or just let it float like I tend to do. Very soon, because of high growth rate, you'll have a major plant in your aquarium, and if you're not trimming this plant regularly, it can literally take over. I got small trimming like one of these couple of months ago, and now my aquariums are full of it. I trim quite a bit off on weekly basis to keep the plant under control, as I want it to be. Now be very careful when getting plant like this from another aquarist, as in majority of cases it will have small hitchhikers, pest snails that you may not want in your aquarium. Be also careful about the eggs of these snails, as once you'll introduce them into your aquarium, you'll be very hardly getting rid of them. I'm one of those that really enjoy snails in my aquariums, as for me they work as an amazing cleaning crew, and therefore every time I'm giving hornwort to somebody, I warn them about possibility of introducing snails into their aquarium. I really enjoy having hornwort in my aquariums, as it really provides me many benefits that I need. If you're beginning with planted aquariums and you think that you kill literally any type of live plant, give hornwort a shot. Unlike duckweed, in case that you won't be satisfied with this plant, you can always easily remove it without any problem. Limnophila sessiliflora is another super easy to keep plant that look absolutely amazing in any type of aquarium. I would definitely recommend this plant to any beginner in planted aquariums, as it has really low light requirements, it can grow basically in any substrate, doesn't need additional CO2, has super fast growth rate, and can be also very easily propagated. In a hobby you can find this plant nicknamed as dwarf ambulia or ambulis, and the origin of this plant is Southeast Asia. As many other super undemanding plants, it found its way from the Southeast Asia also to other parts of the world, and now we can find it in, for example, India, China, Philippines and Japan, but also in some countries in Florida as an invasive species introduced by people. Stems of Limnophila sessiliflora grow really fast up and can grow up to 40 centimeters. The leaves grow out of the stem around, creating circle shape that usually is around 3 centimeters in diameter. This is giving this plant very unique and attractive look, not only for hobbyists who enjoy planted aquariums, but also for aquascapers. Being a fast-growing stem plant, it uses a lot of nutrients from the water and therefore usually reduce the algae growth, as by reducing the nutrients there is not enough left for algae, and this is the great benefit of planted aquariums. Very interesting fact is that once the plant receives enough light for the photosynthesis, the leaves will close up and the plant will go to sleep like many other varieties of plants and flowers do on the land. Every morning, after the light goes on, it will slowly spread the leaves again to get enough light, and when you look closer you can clearly see microbubbles coming out of its leaves during the photosynthesis. When the plant is healthy and growing submersed, it has beautiful light green color, and it can also be grown immersed, however in that case it has deep dark green coloration. It is once again one of those plants you literally need to make an effort to kill, so as I've mentioned before, if you have troubles keeping plants in your aquarium alive, definitely give this plant a shot. If propagated naturally, it sends out runners and starts spreading across the bottom of the aquarium. However, as with majority of stem plants, you can just simply cut trimmings of the mother plant and propagate it that way. I'm regularly taking trimmings and propagating this plant, as it fairly quickly reaches the top of my relatively short aquariums. Once I cut the trimmings, all that's left to do is to plant them either in the same aquarium, or I can of course use them in other aquariums as well. The great advantage of these fast-growing stem plants is that you can literally start with single one and slowly propagate as much of it as you want. I've also started with single one pot from Tropica aquarium plants and propagated it across several of my aquariums. To give you guys a perspective how quickly this plant actually grows, what you can see on the video, I've grown in a little over 1 month from 2 small trimmings I've taken from different aquarium. You can also grow it literally in anything. I have it planted in sand with a bit of small stones on the top. I have very low lighting, and only fertilizer in the aquarium is the waste produced by fish. Given its planted tank soil, a bit of fertilizer, and you can accomplish amazing growth easily. I've also experienced that if you leave trimming floating in the aquarium for a couple of days, it will start spreading roots down towards the bottom. So, if you're an experienced aquarist or even aquascaper, Limnophila sessiliflora may attract you by really attractive look, and if you're beginning with planted aquariums and watching this video to find out whether this plant would be a great fit for your tank, it surely will, and I definitely recommend giving this interesting plant a shot. I bought mine from Tropica Aquarium Plants, and I'll leave the link in the description below. Sagittaria subulata by Tropica Aquarium Plants is super undemanding foreground plant originally from South America. This plant is very popular in the aquarium hobby because it's very easy to grow, doesn't need additional CO2, and it's possible to grow it in almost any substrate with a little bit of fertilization. It grows relatively fast, thrives in low lighting environment, and is very easy to propagate. If the Sagittaria is healthy and thriving, it has traditional generic green looking coloration. You need to be careful if the plant starts turning yellow, especially on the top of the leaves, what would mean that something's wrong and the plant is slowly melting down. Typically this may be connected to nutrition deficiency or too much light, as this plant doesn't like high light environments and thrive mostly if the lighting is low. This is another great benefit of Sagittaria, as you can literally grow it with starter kit lighting and it will do just fine. Propagating Sagittaria is also super easy. If you're aiming to create compact aquarium carpet like I do, it's recommended to plant individual plants approximately 2 to 4 centimeters from each other, and by spreading runners the plant will basically propagate itself into smooth and compact carpet. However, be prepared that this type of carpet will be a little bit higher than with other more usual carpet plants, and it will require regular trimmings, as in some cases leaves of Sagittaria can grow up to 50 centimeters. If you want to propagate this plant to another aquarium, all you need to do is cut the runner, remove the new baby plant from the aquarium and plant it in another one. From my experiences, you do not have to start with too many plants, as Sagittaria will grow and propagate relatively quickly. As far as compatibility of this plant goes, it really depends on what you're aiming for. In case you want to create carpet look, it's great foreground plant that will allow you to accomplish this look with regular trimming. In case you want to use smaller plants in front of the aquarium, this plant can serve very well as a middle plant, creating the transition between very short compact plants in the foreground and super high plants in the background of your aquarium. Some variations of Sagittaria can even grow super high and can be used as background plants. However, as I usually use this plant to create very easy to keep carpet, I would recommend it as fore or middle ground plant. This plant is also compatible with majority of tank mates, as it has relatively strong root structure. I personally like to use it in my guppy tanks, as its compact and thick growth allows a lot of hiding spaces for fry to hide from the adults. Other than tablet fertilizer, I'm not using liquid fertilizer, and it seems like waste produced by fish provide just enough fertilization for this easy to keep plant to grow. Talking about substrate, it would do best in planted tank aquarium soil. However, I successfully grow this plant in sand with substrate tablet fertilizer, and the plant is doing super fine and is thriving. CO2 input will definitely help to accomplish the more compact carpet look quicker. However, from my experiences, it's not necessary at all, and the results you can see in the aquarium I have accomplished without CO2 in approximately 5 months. Once again, if you won't provide this plant too much lighting, it is literally one of those plants that you need to make an effort to kill it. Whether you're beginner, advanced aquarist, or even aquascaper, Sagittaria subula is plant suitable for various purposes, and you may definitely give it a try. I personally really enjoy growing it in my aquariums, as I usually prefer low lighting, easy to keep plants. The only thing you should be aware of if you're buying this plant is, as I've already mentioned, preventing it from getting too much light, as for this particular plant that may be harmful. So usually I'm giving you guys tips and tricks on easy to keep plants, trying to show you how you can keep them alive and make them thrive. Today we'll be talking about the plant that's literally impossible to kill, and once you get it, it's basically more difficult to get rid of it than actually to keep it. So let's begin with short description of this plant. Common duckweed is small floating plant usually consisting of 1 to 3 oval-shaped leaves that are light green and flat on both sides. Even though duckweed is native to majority of continents, it can be considered invasive, as once it finds its way into usually slowly moving or still bodies of water, it will quickly take over. There are many reasons why people keep duckweed in their aquariums. One of the main reasons is recreating natural environment in your aquarium with floating plants, and duckweed is great for that. It uses nutrients from water column, and that way can outcompete algae, what's very useful trait. Aquarists can also keep it for aesthetic reasons, to have live plants at the top of the aquarium. However, in a lot of cases, duckweed get introduced into the aquarium by accident and becomes an annoying problem if not wanted. But before jumping into negatives and removal of duckweed, let's first focus on potential benefits and ways of how this plant can be actually useful. Duckweed is a great plant for limiting water evaporation, and as I've already mentioned, it will help you recreate a natural environment in your aquarium, and also by consuming nutrients from water column can help you solve problems with algae. The coloration of duckweed can also be a great indicator of your water quality. As far as the duckweed is healthy, light green color and thriving, there is enough nutrients in your water also for growth of other aquatic plants. However, when the color becomes paler and the leaves will start turning yellowish, it is an indication of nutrients deficiency in your water. My favorite use for duckweed is homemade fish and shrimp foods. It may sound crazy, but duckweed is actually superfood consisting of roughly around 30 to 40% of protein. Duckweed protein also has a better array of essential amino acids than most vegetable proteins and more closely resembles animal protein, what makes it great addition for not only diet of your fish, but also farm animals like for example chickens. It has really high concentrations of vitamins, minerals and also pigments, what is great supplement for coloration of the fish. High value of A and B vitamins, especially vitamin B12, is one of the reasons why currently duckweed is also used for human consumption. In one of my past videos, I've shown you guys how I use it in my homemade food for shrimps, and if you have herbivore fish, you can also use it as great and of course free diet supplement. Any herbivore fish will love duckweed, and you can also use it as supplement for homemade foods for omnivore fish. Many breeders grow duckweed as it really is superfood for our aquatic creatures, and growing it yourself, it is of course free. So now let's jump into negatives, and keeping duckweed definitely is love-hate relationship. It is by far the most annoying plant if you work with your hands in the aquarium, as it will stick to your hands and cleaning it off all the time is super annoying. Also, it requires constant removal from the aquarium, as it will definitely sooner or later take over the entire surface of the water. The best way of controlling the duckweed population is regular manual removal, what's extra work that not all of us are willing to do. Duckweed also doesn't like high flow of water, so increasing water flow will definitely slow the growth down, and in really fast flowing waters may even solve the duckweed problem. Now there are many ways people are removing duckweed from the aquarium. Most common definitely is by fish net, the way that I was also doing it for a very long time. However, as with your hands, duckweed will stick onto your fish net, what's super annoying, and therefore after experimenting with several tools, I found the most efficient tool to remove duckweed to be just a regular hair comb. The water flows through easily, it collects duckweed well, and duckweed is not really that sticky on plastic surface. Bacopa compact by Tropica Aquarium Plants is more compact form of Bacopa monieri that's growing vertically and therefore is great addition to central part of planted aquariums or aquarium background behind lower plants in front. It is super easy to keep plants suitable for all types of aquariums. If you have troubles keeping aquatic plants and you're looking for a plant that's almost impossible to kill, this is perfect plant for you. It doesn't have any special light requirements and will grow in low, medium and also high light aquariums, and another benefit also is that it doesn't require additional CO2. You can grow Bacopa compact in almost any type of substrate with very minimal or no fertilization at all, and it can also accept really wide variety of water parameters. It will do amazing in planted tank substrate, but you'll be able to successfully grow it also in sand or gravel with a minimal fertilization, and from my experiences, as long as you have fish in the aquarium, the waste they produce will be more than enough for healthy growth of this plant. If we would be looking for the origin of Bacopa compact, it's part of the category called cultivars, as compact type of Bacopa was developed in cultivation. However, Bacopa monieri, that the compact variation is developed from, can be found in almost the entire world and is native to eastern India, Europe, Africa, Asia and also North and South America. As many other stem plants, propagation of this plant is super easy, what's another great benefit of keeping Bacopa. As the stem of the plant is growing, you'll be able to see new roots and also new small shoots coming out of the main stem. Now when you want to propagate this plant, all you need to do is cut trimmings of the main stem and plant them in another aquarium. It is important to mention that you can trim this plant at any point of the stem, however ideal would be in between two stages of leaves, and great would also be if there would be another shoot coming out of the main stem below the part where you'll make the cut, however it's not necessary. As you can see on a video, this is the place where I've made a cut approximately a week ago. There was no other shoot below the place of the cut, however as you can see the plant has grown another shoot directly in the place of the old cut, and many people are afraid that trimming will hurt the plant, however opposite is actually true. Not only you will have more trimmings to plant, but it will also encourage the plant to grow new shoots, what will long term help you to accomplish a bit more bushy look of this plant. Here I have few fresh trimmings that I've just done and are ready to be planted in another aquarium, and I've also pulled out 2 trims that I've done approximately a week ago. So you guys can see that I've just made the cuts in the stem without any roots or shoots coming out of it, and these 2 trims were done exactly the same way a week ago. Now a week later, you can see nice healthy roots growing from the place where the cut was made, and the new plants are thriving in the new aquarium even though they're just planted in sand. All that's left to do now is plant these trimmings into the substrate. If you think that keeping planted aquarium is difficult and you cannot do it because you always kill your plants, give Bacopa Compact a chance. I guarantee you this is the plant that will look amazing in your aquarium, and for beginning aquarists this plant will provide a great experience with propagation as it's super easy and rewarding. Soon enough, from a single plant you'll buy, you can have several all around your aquariums like in my case. I personally really enjoy keeping this plant and can only recommend it. Keep also in mind that keeping live plants in your aquariums is good for your fish as well, as they'll generate oxygen, clean your water, and feed on the waste your fish produce. Christmas moss is really easy to keep plant that's widely spread in the aquarium hobby. It can be used in breeding tanks as great cover for fry and small fish, but also in aquascaping for various purposes like for example foreground plant, dense carpet, or attached on driftwood or stones, as you can see on the video. Even though it's not really a fast grower, with a little bit of patience and good care you can definitely accomplish stunning results. Christmas moss got its name by the branches that are hanging down and overlapping each other, reminding the shape of a Christmas tree. Its scientific name is Vesicularia montagii, and in Japan it's also known as Brazilian willow moss. It is native to Asia and can be also found in India, Thailand, Philippines, and Japan. It's generally found underwater in streams and creeks, attached to sunken trees and branches, rocks, or it can also grow free floating. It has beautiful green coloration and it does the best fully submerged in water. It can also be used outside of water in really moist conditions, but I would definitely recommend keeping and growing it submerged. As many other moss species, Christmas moss uses rhizoids to attach itself to various surfaces, and the plant prefers cool flowing water, but it can also accept really wide variety of water temperature and parameters. When first attaching to stones or driftwood, I highly recommend using fishing line or gel superglue to hold the moss in place before it starts taking over and attaching by itself. It doesn't necessarily need CO2 or fertilizer, but it can definitely help it thrive and grow quicker. From my experiences, try to avoid too much light on this moss as it may lead to growth of unwanted algae. Once the algae starts growing on this moss, it's very difficult to get rid of it, so definitely try to prevent it and avoid it first. What's always easier than removing it. Propagation is also super easy. Simply split the moss on smaller pieces and every single piece will continue growing separately. As I have mentioned, keeping and propagating it is super easy and therefore it's also a really good plant for beginners. Thank you very much guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider checking my entire aquatic plant series where I talk about many interesting aquatic plants. I hope you found this video useful and good luck growing your Christmas moss if you already have it or if you're planning to get it in the future.